Hey folks at ECommerce 360. Today we have Bidani, the queen of copywriting, helping startups and e-commerce businesses grow their revenue with the power of persuasive copy. Hey Eden, welcome to the show.
Hi, Rebecca. Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
It's wonderful to have you here. So Eden, walk us through your journey. How did you fall in love with copywriting? How did you land at e-commerce? Just let us a bit into your story.
Yeah, absolutely. So with copywriting, it was more something that I fell into. It was a happy accident, I guess you could say. I started out far on the furthest thing removed from marketing and advertising, which was anthropology. So that's about studying, groups of people who are different or very different or very similar to you, and just trying to learn as much about them to actually grasp their worldview and see how things like their family structure, economics, the language they speak, their culture, all these things impact on how they interpret the world around them, and then using that to reflect back on yourself and how we perceive the world, and see where there are ways that we can bridge those gaps in communication. Which is funny enough, which is a lot like marketing, but it's completely removed from marketing.
Yeah.
So after while I was studying at university, I took on a sales job one summer to help pay the bills, and I actually fell in love with it. So we were doing sales, writing sales pitches, pitching, doing product demonstrations, all these kinds of things. And it was just something that I really fell in love with. And I found, you get to start a lot of interesting conversations with people in sales, and you get to create a lot of genuine relationships as well. When you do it, when you do sales well, you create create lots of great relationships along the way. So, and so when my husband and I moved overseas, we were looking for, I was looking for a similar job, and then I really, with a young growing family, it wasn't possible to go back to sales standing 10 to 12 hours a day on my feet selling. So I realized that I've been writing copy actually all this time. I was writing the product information. I was writing, brochures and information, and I was writing as well our sales pitches and using them actually to train other sellers as well. So it was really easy to transition from selling, selling face to face, to actually selling online just through the power of words instead of those face to face interactions.
That's a brilliant story. So let's talk about e-commerce website in particular, right? Because most of our audience is from e-commerce. What do you think are e-commerce copywriters getting wrong, and where do you think they are going terribly, wrong when it comes to writing their website copy, which is just driving their buyers away? It's just the opposite of what they want to achieve. Where do you think they're getting it wrong?
So there's usually there's kind of 2 points that people usually struggle with the most, and one is either that they describe the product in a really, really dry way. They talk about all the features, all the different elements, what color it is, the shape, size, all these things like that, which is great, which is fine, because you need to know that information. You need to know what you're actually getting, what you'll be receiving in your box at the end of the day. Or they actually talk about all the benefits of the product and why it's so great, without going into enough detail about actually all the features and actually what it looks like, how much it weighs. So you have kind of two opposite ends of the spectrum. Or they really talk about, or they talk only about the features, or they don't talk enough about the features. So really the best, and for someone to feel confident in making a purchase online, you need to have the right balance of information. You need to show, the copy needs to be able to show the reader not just what the product is and what it does, but why this is a good fit for them, who it's a good fit for, because not every product is suited for everybody, as well, what and how those different features actually align with what the customer is looking for, or how it can enable the customer to achieve a transformation in their lives. If you look at the jobs to be done framework, it's, we purchase things because we want to actually do something else. We want to achieve a transformation in some area
Yeah.
of our lives. We don't buy a Louis Vuitton handbag just because we want the handbag, because we want to feel cool,
Yeah.
because we want to be respected, because we want this, we want to impress, impress someone. We don't buy roses on Valentine's Day just because it's rose. The rose, symbolizes something far more than that. So, so again, we find, or they talk too much about the features or not enough, where it does need to be a balance between of the two of them, and we need to bridge that gap between the features and the benefits, and how they're going to impact on the life of the user.
So that's very, very beautifully put. How are e-commerce businesses going to have their copies in a way that is perceived, that is generating interest as well as educating the customers about the features of the particular product. So that's very well put. So let's talk about ad copies, right? So ad copies are basically mini versions of e-commerce website, and every day in social media, especially Insta, after every 2 or 3 scrolls, you're going to be overwhelmed by some ad or the other. And I think e-commerce businesses are struggling and vying for the attention of the customers. How do they stand out? How do they create a copy that kind of makes the customer sit back and take a look at what they're trying to say?
So I think here there's often, and it's great that you brought up this question, because there's often a disconnect between why people are on a certain platform and the messages that the brand or the company wants to share with the audience. We want to share from our perspective, and we want to sell more products. So we want to share the product's great. This is why it's awesome. This is what it does. We want to share all these incredible things about the product. But on the other hand, the users aren't there. They're not on Instagram to look for products. They're not on Facebook to see ads. They're not on LinkedIn. They're not on these social media platforms because they're looking for something. The only time that usually really lines up is when it's in Google search, when you're
Yeah.
search and display. So in terms of social ads particularly, it's looking to align the content of the ad, the copy and the creative with something that's interesting to users of the platform. So it's not just the target audience, but also how people interact and use the platform. So that's why we find, this is why, for example, like influencers have been so incredible, because people are on the platform to connect with other people, to talk about them. So they see someone that they like, they'll stop and they'll start watching the ad before they even realize it's an ad, or they'll know it's an ad, but it features a celebrity or it features someone that they respect. And so they'll actually stop to look at it. That said, we know that influencers are also struggling a little bit these days. So it's ads in general perform well when they do two things: when they're entertaining and they're educational. So it's a fine balance between the two. So there's a lot of different things that you can use, simply different camera angles in the creative, lots of bright colors, but at least it's something. The direction needs to be focused on what is interesting to the user, what is going to be interesting for the target audience, and not just what we want to tell about the brand. So because you can give all that information away on the website, you can give that all away on the product, on the product pages. In the core of it is, the ad is doesn't have to sell the product. The ad just needs to sell the click.
Yeah.
It just needs to get them to click, and then you can give them more information on the page. And this is something we know as well in sales. When I used to start out way back, when I started out doing product demos, you give so much information up front, it's actually overwhelming for the customer or the user. They just see info. They go, great, and they just tune out and they click away or they walk away. So by giving them just enough information, showing that this is something exciting, that this is something new, that there's something waiting for them to discover on the other side of the ad that will be of interest to them, that's enough to get them to click. Again, you're selling the click. You don't have to sell the product in the ad, and in fact, you probably shouldn't. You can mention, if you don't want to waste clicks, you can mention price range. You can mention things to kind of filter out customers that might not be the right fit. But in saying that, the ideas to drive them to the product pages anyway.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So what you're saying is the idea behind creating an art copy is only, making the customers click, just like an email, right? Whenever you send out emails, the idea behind sending out emails is to get them to open your email. So that brings me to my next question about post-purchase email. So at e-commerce 360, we're very excited about post-purchase communication because that's going to lead to a lot of customer retention and real engagement with customers. What sort of tips would you suggest are great for crafting a post-purchase email that kind of engages well with a customer without sounding too salesy? Because it's post-purchase, it has to be educational and informational, but also you can recommend products just to keep the interest on, but it shouldn't come off too salesy. So, what are your tips on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of post-purchase emails, especially, you should keep the tone should be, the tone of the initial emails, like immediately
Mhm.
post-purchase, and especially between making the purchase and actually receiving the product,
Mhm.
they should be focused on making the customer feel that this was a good choice. So
Yeah.
it shouldn't yet necessarily push a
Mhm.
product or necessarily push an upsell. There are ways that you can do it gently by making it sound like, hey, you already bought this, by the way, before we ship your order, if you'd like to add this for X price, that, as a one-off kind of thing, it doesn't come across as too pushy.
Mhm.
And if it's something if it's a theme that's repeated in the next 3 emails before they even get the product, then they're going to feel like, okay,
Mhm.
it's a bit too much.
Yeah.
So that said, the first few emails, especially until the unboxing, until they get the product in their hands, should be focused on support them to share expectations up as well for unboxing, because a lot of companies do is they marketing and sales, it's all like, woo, unicorns and rainbows, and then they get the product and they're like, the
Mhm.
magic, like, where's the magic,
Us.
where's the amazing, where's the special, it's nothing special anymore.
Yeah.
So to actually focus on, so it's not just about assuring the customer that they've made a good decision. It's also about walking them through expectations. So example,
Mhm.
what's it going to be like the first day using the product, what it's going to be like the unboxing. So even though they'll be doing the unboxing themselves, to kind of walk them through what they need, what's going to come up, so they know what to expect. So there's no like, wait, this isn't what I ordered, this is what I'm thinking about.
Mhm.
You can preempt these things to make that transition easier and actually get them start to use, way. So just again, like you said, educational, making sure that they've got best practices or what other users have said about their experience using the product. So just all these kinds of things can really help support the purchase, make the customer feel comfortable, and make sure that they're ready to receive and start using the product in the best possible way.
That's very, very well said. So customers need information. Customers need to, have the sort of trust, establish a trust with customers, establish that they have made the right choice, give them some sort of confirmation that they're doing the right thing before you just bombard them with product recommendations. So that's very interesting. So before we conclude this conversation, what do you think is the future of e-commerce as far as copywriting goes, right? There is a lot of email is dead, email is not dead, ads are not dead. So what do you think it looks like? How do you see the future trend moving?
And great question, Ravati. So I'm thinking there, there's so many things going on these days with
Yeah.
personalization, but now we know with the third-party cookies are
Yeah.
quickly fading out. So I think there's going to be a stronger push towards to more creative ad creatives, more
Mhm.
creative marketing methods.
Okay.
So using creative marketing as a way of reaching the target audiences. So that's going to be strongly voiced brands, so, or they're funny, or they're cute, or they're funky, or they're
Mhm.
cool. We're going to see more strongly voiced brands, I think,
Mhm.
coming across. We're going to see more strong ad creatives coming back, like in the print, like the print ads of the golden days of advertising, because the audiences are still looking for personalization, and they love it. But they know that a lot of hyper personalization is really fake. So it's like insert first name in the brackets,
Yeah.
and that it's a one, and they know they're getting an email or an SMS that's one to many. So they'll be looking. So I think the shift in marketing and in copywriting as well is going to be looking at ways to find how you can reach those customers with messages that speak to multiple different types of people in the audience, and not just hi first name, get your discount,
Yeah.
things like that. So
Mhm.
we're going to see more creative marketing. I think more brand voice and tone is something that's going to come really strong to this. Brands are going to differentiate themselves, not so much on how much of a discount you can get or what the product actually is, but as well in terms from that brand perspective, making that whole giving that whole branded feel to every single customer touch point.
So knowing your customers deeply and curating your products as well as marketing message to fill the need of the customers. Customers really want you to know what they want, right? So that was fantastic, Aiden. Thank you for coming on the show. We have a lot of brilliant nuggets. I think you left us with a lot of interesting insights for our e-commerce audience. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
That's all right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye bye.